It's hard to believe that reality is what it is, but that doesn't change the facts. We are in a scientific dictatorship, and they are now moving to shut down free speech and resisting them verbally and physically. While they built the overall structure and bankrupted the societies to make us independent, to make those of us that were independent dependent on them, they now move into the final phase of the hot war, or the physical tyranny, and that is now upon us. Your calls are coming up. Okay, Paul wants to continue with these articles you've got. We're Bilderberg Group's now in the news bragging, okay, we set it all up. Yeah, we really do run things. And yeah, by the way, we're eugenicists, and this is what we want to carry out against the world population.
Right. I'll get to the Bilderberg connection in a second.
Yeah, continue with the Nazis. So they're saying by 41, 42, and you know, this was always the rumor. Well, no, people had read history books that had the documents. Then they would tell people, then folks would say, I heard, and then it became a rumor that, oh, there was a secret Nazi plan to go underground, the crypto-eugenicists. Go ahead.
Yeah, so by 41, 42, they were saying it was necessary to roll their failing military agenda into a pan-European economic agenda. And the new revelations are that an author who was writing a book called Adam Labor was collecting material for a fictional book based around the premise that Nazis who were seeking to preserve their power and their money at the end of the Second World War conspired to create a Fourth Reich using the infiltration of creating a European Union, which we just talked about. And in researching and collecting material for this book, because obviously all such books are based loosely on historical fact, he actually discovered documents which directly proved the plot to be true. And this document is called U.S. Military Intelligence Report EWPA 128, and it's also known as the Red House Report. And in that document, it talks about how top Nazis met in Strasbourg, France, in 1944, knowing that they were about to lose the war, obviously. And they conspired to create a Fourth Reich based on a pan-European economic empire and a European common market. And what the plan consisted of was top Nazi SS officers like Dr. Scheed ordered wealthy Nazi industrialists and bankers to set up front companies abroad and pose as reformed Democrats so that they could achieve economic penetration throughout Europe and ultimately lay the foundations for the re-emergence of the Nazis. Now, this consisted primarily of people like Alfred Krupp of Krupp Industries and Friedrich Flick, according to these documents, as well as front companies that are still in operation today.
And now
BMW,
elevators,
Siemens,
coffee machines, car manufacturers. When you really know who the Nazis are, it's like everything you're looking at on store shelves that that isn't Chinese.
Right. BMW, Siemens, Volkswagen, there's many others. And they were tasked with infiltrating the European business market and creating this foundation for the Nazi ideology to persist even after they were defeated militarily. And we've got a quote in the article from historian Michael Pinto-Duchinsky, who said, quote, "For many leading industrial figures close to the Nazi regime, Europe became a cover for pursuing German national interests after the defeat of Hitler. The continuity of the economy of Germany and the economies of post-war Europe is striking. Some of the leading figures in the Nazi economy became leading builders of the European Union," end quote. Now, the key man in all this is somebody called Hermann Abs, surname ABS. Now, he was known as Hitler's top banker. And in fact, David Rockefeller, let me get the direct quote, called Abs the greatest banker of the 20th century. Now, Abs was on the board of Deutsche Bank when the Nazis rose to prominence in the 1930s, and he also held no less than 40 directorships in Nazi companies during that same period. He was also on the board of IG Farben, who, of course, made the Zyklon B gas, held the patent to it, which was used to kill the concentration camp victims. He was also put in charge of allocating Marshall aid, reconstruction funds, so he basically managed Germany's economic recovery after the war. Now, where it gets even more interesting is the fact that ABS was a founding member of the European League for Economic Cooperation, which was set up in 1946. Now, just by coincidence, the other people who helped him set this up, and this European League for Economic Cooperation still exists today. It was one of the primary drivers behind the eventual creation of the European Economic Market in '57. It still exists today, and it has an advisory status at the Council of Europe and on the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe. So this was a key organization in setting the foundation for the creation of the European Union. It was set up by ABS, a top Nazi, Hitler's top banker, and, I might add, a Bilderberg member when the Bilderberg organization came into existence in just before '54. Also, people who helped ABS set up this European League for Economic Cooperation were among others, Edmund Giscard d'Estaing, top Bilderberg member, Paul van Zeeland, top Bilderberg member, and Joseph Rettinger, also top Bilderberg member. So you've got, obviously Bilderberg came into existence in the early 50s. So you've got people, industrialists, including top Nazis, forming this European League for Economic Cooperation in 1946.
And then you have Bilderberg bragging in public documents, the BBC and others, to the EU Observer a few weeks ago, Viscount Etienne d'Avignon, who we personally videotaped last year in D.C., and then again before that in Canada, in Ottawa at the Brook Street. They brag that they covertly set this up, and they're proud of themselves. And you've got Prince Bernhard, the SS member, who is the founder with the others you just mentioned, setting all of this up. I mean,